Hello, and welcome back to the Reflecting Pool. Today, me and LJ are joined by two illustrious members of our competitive EDH community, those being Scoots
Hello.
and TimmyT1000.
Howdy ho.
Today, we're going to do a little podcast talk about the event run by Callahan and the Mind Sculptors called the Major League Commander. LJ is going to give us a brief rundown of that whole event.
Yeah, so Major League Commander is a 10-week event where 32 players from the CH community, streamers, content creators, and the like, draft decks from the CDH decklist database. That draft has already happened. In fact, week 1 has already passed, but they draft the decks, and they have a certain number of times they have to play those decks. It is recommended that they keep the decks in the spirit of how the curators of the decks created it. So if you're playing a Tim Thrasios Hermit Druid deck, they want you to keep Hermit Druid and the win cons that go with that in the deck. Week one has already passed. We had some riveting games, and hopefully, for the next few weeks, we'll have some amazing games as well. So, enough about us. Let's talk about Timmy and Scott. You guys, shameless plugs, please.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Scotty first.
Oh, sure. Hi, I'm Scoots. Scotty, whatever you want to call me. I am a member of the aforementioned Mind Sculptors. I'm also a participant in the MLC. I drafted poorly and haphazardly, but I'm really thankful to be here. Thank you, guys.
And hi, I'm Tim, also known as TimmyT1000 around the interwebs. You can pretty much find me everywhere by that name. And I run the CH Budget Brews.
Now, Tim, is there a significant content platform on which they couldn't find you by that name?
Oh, yeah, Twitch, technically. But I'm not on Twitch that much. That's because I am TYMM1000_budget brews. Because I keep screwing it up and I'm in Twitch jail for 2 months every time I mess it up.
Nice. Interesting.
Yeah, so today we're gonna be talking about our draft picks. The decks that we drafted, preparations before and during the draft, any strategies, game plans that we had, surprises, any surprise picks, anything that stood out to you during the draft. We're going to be talking about the actual week one game in which Shark and Timmy were both participants of. Timmy ended up taking the whole thing, but we'll talk about that, and then we'll talk about some last minute things with our respective channels, and then that should be the episode. So
Speaking of draft picks, LJ, sounds from what we all know, you had the first pick in this draft.
Yes, I had the number 1 pick in this draft, and it was going to be Edric.
So let's ask the question everyone was asking. Why didn't you pick Edric first?
Look, the same reason most people thought I wouldn't pick Edric, because no one else was picking Edric. And I'm not going to waste a number 1 pick on Edric.
But you should have. It would have been a
Right?
great need.
Oh, of course LJ picked Edric. Or now they're like, oh, of course LJ picked the Gila. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. But it just made sense. I have the number 1 pick, and respectively, I had the number 64 and 65th pick, and then I had the 128th pick. So my picks were going to be very far apart. So if I didn't pick a quote unquote good deck, I was probably not going to get a good deck.
A good deck like not Edric, to be clear.
Like a good deck like not Edric. They're all good decks on the database, quote unquote. But but I'm definitely like all the Grixis decks were going to be gone by the time it got to me. Most of the good Sultai decks are going to be gone, and then I want to start looking at like mono white.
Is LJ is your Edric the one on the DB? Is it your list?
No, it's not the one on the DB. It's not. I play
It used to be, right? Because of the Hulk version. That was what was on the DB, but it isn't anymore.
No, not even the Hulk version was on the DB. I kept my list was always a rogue.
What
the
a
rogue
crying
list.
shame.
Yeah. It's more I guess most lists on the database are like that, right? Like where they kind of keep like a cookie cutter shell of the deck. It's like, hey, if you're gonna play it, these at least play these cards, right? Like if you're gonna play the Gila, at least play this 99, and you could probably take it anywhere. But
sure,
one of the things about these decks is they don't cater. With all the content creators and deck builders and streamers like that, we all have different styles and different card choices we like. Like,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, even me, like the mana base is like totally different in my Edric list than it is with the database list. That would have been like 5 or 10 cards, but in by itself, and that's.
Did y'all talk about that at the top of the episode with the amount of swaps you were allowed?
No, I did not. Let me talk about that real quick. So when we were picking before we send in final deck lists, you're allowed to make five swaps, depending on if the deck was outdated or not. So outdated means it hasn't been updated within the last 3 months. So that would have been from May 1st back, which would have been what, February-ish? January? January, something like that. So
February 1st.
Yeah, February 1st. So if it was updated between that time period, then you were only allowed 5 changes. If it wasn't updated in that time, then you were allowed to make any number of changes you want to the deck, as long as the spirit of the deck was still intact. So it only ended up being about 5 or so decks that were outdated.
Like 5,
And that makes sense. Most deck list creators are are pretty good at keeping up with new technology, new tech with their decks. So it made sense.
I think the notable ones that went during the draft were Timnatana Snoop.
Yes.
Yidris and Paco and Halden, I think, were the not updated decks that got drafted.
I was surprised that Yidris was one of those that wasn't updated. I thought that would be an updated deck.
And Yidris was kind of notable because it went in the first round.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and Natox plays it a lot.
So
yeah, I kind of wanted that Yidris list too, because I was imagining making my own list, and it fell to Ian, who picks literally right before me. Yeah. So it was one of those things where I was like, okay, well, what's the next best thing? And that was Curious Control, and that's why I took that at 23. But let's talk to Tim, who had the 5th pick. What was
fifth pick.
What was your strategy going into, your draft picks and things of that nature?
Well, first off, that's funny of you to think I actually had a strategy.
Oh, come on. Stop pretending you're not a cagey old man, Tim. The world doesn't believe you.
No, my basic strategy was to pick whatever deck I felt was best that was available, and I could play. So I picked Opus Thief. I wanted Blue Farm as I wanted Najeela as my first pick, but you took it.
Yup.
And then next in order was some type of Timnacrom. So the next best Timnacrom got the best Timnacrom got taken in the form of Blue Farm or Timnacrom Breach. So Opus Thief was the next default.
I have some things to say about that statement.
I said like out of the Timnacrom.
No, I'm just saying I have
the
some things that are relevant to that statement when you're done making yours. That's all.
Oh. And then my later picks were mostly like the decks that I felt were the best that were available that I could play.
Mm-hmm.
So I've gotten beat up a lot by Niv. I've gotten beat up a lot by, Kinnan. Also, I felt that Niv was a good anti-meta deck based on just kind of knowing who I'm playing against. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's why
I do know what you mean. Yes.
That's why I led with.
And not to spoil anything, but it seems like that inclination led you in the right direction.
Yeah, and then same thing with Kinnan. Kinnan's also a kind of actually my last three picks are kind of like anti-meta decks, honestly.
I think Kinnan is a perfectly fine deck. What I was gonna say about your selection of Opus Thief, right? Like if you compare it to we were talking about this on actually the last episode of the Mind Sculptors podcast. We just went over how the iteration of Opus Thief that's on the deck list right now compared to like kind of how people perceive Opus Thief as like a slower, grindier deck playing like Narset and Suppression Field and all that. Like that's not what Opus Thief is anymore. And the cards in Opus Thief that are different from like the cards in like Freeze Thief or Timnacrom Breach are not bad Magic cards. You can look at some of them and be like, wait a second, why is Timnacrom Breach not playing these cards? Like comparatively, I don't think lists end up being all that far off. I think Opus Thief is not like it's hard to call it second place, right? It's just different.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, when I say second place, I mean like I would rather take. So actually, I wanted Opus Thief because I wanted more sweepers.
Yeah,
but because I felt that sweepers were actually super important. Like my anticipation of this whole MCL thing is going to be there's lots of creatures. There's going to be lots of creature-based combos.
Yep.
And then there's going to be lots of turbo knobs.
Well, I mean...
So I tried to pick decks that could kind of fight those kind of things.
Absolutely.
And fight them effectively, but then also at the same time, I need to be able to play them. Because it doesn't do me any good to pick the best deck in the meta, quote unquote, if I'm not even like marginally a competent pilot at
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's totally legit.
Like, that's why some of my choices seemed oddball. Like, that's why I picked Morrowind. Because I know how to play Elf Ball. I've been playing Elf Ball since I was like 14.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, in various iterations, but, you know.
But I mean, all elves are kind of the same. Kind of, to an extent. Scotty.
People make the gaps between decks on the deck list database wider than they actually are. I don't think that the perception of them being like particularly tiered or far apart from each other is necessarily accurate, especially in the case of like Marwyn versus Selvala. Like the card draw is good, but they both have the same kind of linear green good stuff plan, right? So
right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
They have slightly different axes, but overall,
yeah.
Like if I had my choice, I would have picked Brostorm actually over Morrowind, but yeah, just saying.
Yeah, that was also a deck that I would like to have gotten to, even though I don't really play it. But it's a very consistent and stable deck that's done its thing for the last 3-4 years.
Yeah, easily.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Well, that leaves you up next, Scoots. With your draft, you picked Razakats first, and then followed by Bad Farm. I have here. So, what was your strategy going into this?
So for me, I think I'm like fairly well known as like the Hermit Druid guy, but or the Izzet Pirates guy, right? But I haven't. That obviously Izzet Pirates are bad and not on the database, but
Sad.
so there were a few things that went into my pick number one. First was I didn't want to play any of my own decks as far as the draft went. I have a few decks on the database, and I did not want to draft any of them. And the other thing was my first pick was kind of established for me by the way that by the position that I had in the draft, which was just before Spleenface and Lurker, who are two of the other people in my division, who are both also primarily like Razakats players. And I was picking 10th, and they were, I think, 12th and 13th. So I had to get it away from them, and it's a deck I'm comfortable with. It's a deck that I have played since, like, Shaper released Razakats on a deck building site, basically.
Yeah.
So I'm extremely comfortable with it, and I kind of had to... I hate to call it a hate draft, because, like, it's one of my better decks, but at the same time, I probably would have picked something different were Lurker and Spleen not both in my division. And my second pick of Bad Farm was, I have to be completely honest, my picks were quasi-random in that I would, in an attempt to get, like, Baral control, like, in an attempt to avoid Baral control or something, I picked, like, pools of 6 decks and then would roll a dice to determine which one I would pick next in the round. And Mad Farm was going to be my winner, and then Comedian took it just before me.
Sucks.
And so I was like, well, in the spirit of Mad Farm, I will take Bad Farm. And so I took Bad Farm.
I was going to take Bad Farm.
A lot of people were going to take Bad Farm. I got PMs after the fact about people that wanted to take Bad Farm. So,
like,
and that's
yeah.
it was all obviously jovial, friendly, but yeah, and I think Bad Farm is like a deck that I haven't played a lot, but I've played against, and I know it's good. And the patterns of like Turbo Ad Nauseum are pretty, I don't know, I understand them, so
right.
it seemed pretty comfortable to me. But yeah. My other picks were another Turbo Nas deck, Giganta, which is a 5-color deck that somehow fell to round number 3, and I was pretty comfortable grabbing it there. And then my last pick was another Nas deck that ended up, it was Edgar Markov Razaketh Nas combo.
Yeah, I believe you traded that off.
I traded that off for Kel's Fight Fixer, the Dimir Scepter list on there. And I'm struggling to fall in love with that deck, but I hope that in the game or two that I play it this season, I can make it work.
I would have kept Edgar.
I just didn't want 3 Nas lists.
I'm just saying that
so many questions about this Kels deck because it looks interesting to put it nicely.
Nope.
It's
Tell
interesting.
Like it is.
It's interesting, right? Like the Kells deck, in all of my testing of it, is it's slow, right? It's not nearly as fast as like I think the meta has established itself to be right now. In that it is, I think, like kind of much slower than the meta has established itself to be. But then, like, at the same time, also plays a lot of the same threats as, like, these faster base Dimir or base Grixis Turbo Nas decks. And I think that kind of tilts like threat assessment against you, if that makes any sense. Like this is a deck that plays like a high density of counterspells and advantage engines and stuff like that. Like when this deck resolves a Necropotence, it's for like 4 cards a turn or whatever. It's not to dump 30 and try to go off in your end step. But I feel like people's threat assessment is so tilted against these kinds of value engines that you just end up never resolving them, and then a Turbo Nos player wins behind you, which has happened to me. Like I tried to resolve a Necropotence the other day, and it ate the Swan Song, and then the player behind me resolved an Ad Nauseam, and they were like, "You're the control deck. Why didn't you counter it?" And I'm like, "Well, I didn't have enough cards to do that." So,
because you stopped me from getting my cards.
So, and like I understand that it's probably not. When you're the one playing the deck, it can kind of feel like tilted threat assessment, and maybe it isn't actually tilted threat assessment. I mean, who knows? But I do know that it made me very sad. Also, this deck plays some weird stuff. Like, I think Wandering Archaic is a good card, but I don't think tapping 5 mana for a Wandering Archaic is ever something that realistically happens outside of later turns. And I don't think that in later turns you can afford to tap out on this deck. So there's a lot of weird stuff like that. But the combo itself is like tight enough, and Scepter is a pretty common archetype, and you can play Thassa's Oracle and Demonic Consultation. So like the deck has good bones. It doesn't vibe with me.
I mean, I looked at the deck and it just didn't seem like something that was up to par with, the rest of the meta, as you said before. And it's really hard being a slower deck. And I don't know if you plan on, and you don't have to say anything, but I don't know if you plan on using it as a home game deck because it's a little bit slower to get that going first advantage.
No. But I mean, everybody can know my home game deck. My home game deck is like pretty obvious. It's the Giganta 5-color Nos.
Oh yeah.
That deck goes fast, and that's what that deck does. And so I'm like pretty content to just try and bust out the turn 1 or turn 2 for home games. But like,
wait, you don't want to just jam a Niv on turn 2 against everybody?
I mean, A, that was epic, but B, it was also like the nut hand start for you, huh? So
I mean, I'm mulligan too.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, in that situation, you just had the absolute nuts, right? Like,
I mean, a lot of why I picked Niv that first week was because getting the extra turn ahead of my opponents to be able to
establish Niv.
So right, so if I'm playing Niv on 3, it's all of my opponents' turn 2.
No, I feel that.
You know what I'm saying?
I feel that 100%. I think that ended up being like a really good call.
Yeah, I felt it too.
Yeah.
Also, the Hull Breacher was backbreaking. Like that. That Hull Breacher early. And I could feel the sadness in your voice, Devontae Shark, when you when that like you cast a JVP and then the Hull Breacher just kind of resolves.
Like, I did everything right in that game.
Yeah.
Literally everything right up until I saw the Hull Breacher, and I was like, yeah, we just lose.
You just got broken off your advantage engine, and the game was like, and like Cole is a deck that tries to abuse like Skull Clamp effects to draw a million cards, and you on JVP, and the game, I think like once those value engines resolve, I've always said the words like the game is over, y'all just don't know it yet. It kind of felt like that with the Hull Breacher. You guys felt mentally beaten once that happened.
Well, getting deeper into that game, like I didn't have a choice. Like I had the bounce spells to get rid of the Nos, not the Nos, but the Niv. But like doing that doesn't put me in an advantage state since I can't draw cards.
Right.
And then getting rid of the Hull Breacher with Cole being next and him actively trying to draw cards.
Yep.
I can't remove that
Yep.
either. So it's kind of like, well, I just have to sit here and hope I manually draw into it.
Yeah, you just kind of had to
And-
lay there and
right.
take it. Unfortunately. It's,
Yeah.
yeah. No, I know. It was rough.
And that's exactly what I did, especially with the Timna Thrasios player that was before me, Squirrel Mob. He kept the greedy hand, so he didn't have anything to help. So it was really pretty much Tim's game from there, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
James not
as
making
long
the
as-
second land was like a serious down tilt in the game for all of you. So
yeah.
Yeah, as long as everybody didn't let the wily Canadian talk y'all into doing his dirty work, the game it was going to be.
he tried it.
What was?
yeah,
I had to say something to him about it.
I
too.
think there's going to be a lot of talking in this series of games. People trying to kind of like talk their way into advantageous positions, and I honestly think that it's just going to take people being like, you know what? No, I'm not listening to you.
I know enough about how to play Magic to not listen to your wily.
And so like I watched the live stream, and one good thing I liked about the live stream is like we could hear what you guys were saying, which I think if people are recording CDH games, we need to hear what they're saying, because that is a skill set that a lot of new players need to hone in. But
Sure,
so-
table talk and that kind of thing.
100%.
Yeah.
But so about the table talk, as someone who doesn't know anything about Cole, I was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, he needs an outlet, and like he probably needs Cole. So like, why are they blowing up all of his creatures? So like
he
from
doesn't
the-
need
I mean-
goal.
yeah, so from the outside looking in, I'm like, oh, this is it's Burrows. He probably just needs his commander to get there. So like, just counter the commander.
Well,
right?
I mean, if
Like,
you-
I don't know.
If you notice, what was the first creature I
Killed
killed?
the Rograk, right? I think it was the Rograk.
Yep.
With the Conqueror's flail on
Yeah.
it.
on the
Yeah.
on the
the
mortar.
mortar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of the mortar pod, which is one of the loops to like with Cole out and mortar pod and a 0-cost creature, you can do the disgusting thing wherein if you have like the equipment reducer,
Mhm.
you can
Yeah. Which he did
yeah,
also.
that's how you lose the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was why I killed it second.
Yeah. So like, it's really cool. Like from the outside looking in, and you're like, bro, they're wasting their time. They should just get rid of this div. And it's so that's what's
Right.
the cool thing about playing like these deckless database lists, especially stuff like Cole that doesn't get like a lot of attention and stuff. That's where like actually reading up on these lists like that is. This MLC is gonna showcase a lot of these lists, which is really good.
I think people are definitely going to be rewarded for doing their homework.
Yes, 100%. Because
Yeah.
I would have lost that game. Let me tell you right now, that Cole deck would have won. I would have bounced the visit, and we would have lost. We would have lost in the back end. And I'm like, man.
You know the thing that I got to know though is
Mm-hmm.
Shark,
What?
how'd your draft go?
Yes, please.
Man, my draft was amazing, bro. I got almost everything I wanted.
Nice.
I'm not gonna say everything.
That's
'Cause
sick.
that fourth pick was, I just had to get it out the way. But so I drafted Curious Control first. I wanted Thrasios Vile Smasher Oracle because that's the deck I play outside of the MLC.
For sure.
But Spleenface took that. I tried
Yeah.
to trade with him, and he was like, "Well, we should wait till after it." So I was like, "Well, I can't not pick something,
yeah.
to try and trade with him." So I had to pick the next best thing. So the next choice was Yidris, but the person before me being Ian, he took that.
Yup.
So I was like, "All right, cool. Well, what's the next best Thrasios Vile Specialist?" And it was, of course, Curious Control, which filled two of my slots I had. I had, things I wanted in each deck slot, and that was kind of my control deck I wanted because I wanted something to be able to respond to everything that's going on.
Yep.
My second pick was Thrasios Vile Smasher Hermit Druid.
Hermit Druid. Yep.
I've never played this deck before,
Neither
but
have
it
I.
has a Vile Smasher.
Yeah.
So
It
it can't be that bad.
Thrasios Vile Smasher. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It can't be that bad. So we're gonna find out how that goes. This will be, like you said, I need something quick and out the gate. So this will be my home game deck. So
Oh, nice. Excellent.
I'm hoping to, just get it out there really quick and just do the Hermit Druid thing and say it's a game.
That's what we like to hear. Do the Hermit Druid thing. Say it's a game.
Yeah.
Is this weekend your home game week?
No, sir. My first home game is week 4. This weekend, I believe Squirrel Mob has our home game.
Yep. Yep.
And then I'll be playing.
That's why
I'm sorry, sir.
No, I was just saying that's why I picked the deck I picked.
Okay. And this week, you can already know, Tim. I don't mind. This week I'll be playing Teamer Malcolm, which is a very interesting deck that Mr. Scoots himself mentioned and told me to pick up.
Dude, I think that deck
It's a
was
good
right
one.
up your alley. I was like, oh, he's gonna time out. This is the pick. I think this is the one. Because I played Teamer Malcolm in the Nexus Super League. And I liked that deck a great deal.
That deck is super spicy and it fills all of my boxes.
Yeah. That's what I figured. I mean, it's got your pirates, right? It's got your discard combos.
Yes.
And have you seen the sickest combo?
I need some information on the sickest combo.
The sickest combo is starting your Glinthorn Buccaneer loop with Survival of the Fittest.
Yeah.
Wait, what? How does that work?
So you discard a
You
card
did.
with Survival of the Fittest. That does damage. You get your Malcolm treasures.
Sure
you can
does.
do that. So like when they try to remove your Glinthorn as you're attacking or whatever, you start the combo with Survival of the Fittest for 1 green. And you don't have to. So that's the fun thing because it lets you. It opens you up to like going off on tighter mana and that kind of thing. Because Survival is a discard.
Yeah.
Insert
So is Ghostly Ghost.
mind blown emoji right here.
Yeah, it's great.
Because I didn't even think of that or know about that until just now.
Yeah, it's sick. It's a fun deck. It's a really fun deck.
Well,
The guys who made that did a really good job.
I'm glad we don't play against each other. Jesus.
Yeah.
We would have been blown the fuck out, bro. Oh my
Bruh.
lord.
Oh my gosh, that's some good stuff right there.
And I'm playing Elf Ball this weekend.
Sick.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I think
nice.
submissions were due today as well. So.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I already
no,
submitted.
yeah.
mine.
Don't know
That's
what
fine.
we're playing before.
Yeah, so it's not
Upload
like anyone's getting a competitive advantage, right? Even if this gets edited and released today, like the submissions are gonna come out tomorrow morning. So
Yes.
It doesn't.
I'm playing it.
So-
I'm playing Edry this week. Oh,
I
no.
figured.
Surprise,
honestly,
right?
yeah.
So were there any decks
big shot.
that you guys were mad or sad you guys didn't get?
I mean, I wanted Mad Farm. I was pretty vocal about that. I wanted Mad Farm.
Yeah.
I also wanted Crom Tevish. If you watch people's if you watch like Ian's video of the draft comedians video of the draft, you can hear me saying something along the lines of Ken, you're the nicest person I've ever dealt with, but I hate you. To Stacked EDH after he took Crom Tevish the pick before me.
Yeah.
Tim, what about
Yeah,
you? Anything you missed out on?
I mean, to be honest, I just kind of kept narrowing it down to a couple of choices every time. But the big one was I wanted Najila, actually, because I like to attack.
I know the real one.
The real one.
Yeah, the real one that you
What was the
missed
real
out
one?
on.
What's
it was
that?
the one that you it was a 4th round, and our good friend
Yeah.
Deke took Snoop Thar, and you
yeah.
keyed up your mic and went really Deke, and Tim went back to you, really Tim.
Yeah, really. Why'd you? Why would he take Snoop Dogg around for?
Hate draft.
It's because I took Niv, but I took Niv because I was like,
Yeah.
I think this will be good in my pods.
I just thought that was a really funny interaction between you two.
Yeah, no, he got me good there. He offered to switch. I'm like, I'm not switching Niv for Thar.
Shark,
No.
what did you want?
Thrasios File Smasher Oracle.
The Into the North guys are fairly well convinced that that's the best deck in the format right now. They prefer that over like Ikra Crom or whatever, or Timna Crom.
I like to mention that I've been playing this deck for like the last 2 years.
Oh, we know, and you just got kind of boned by turn order because Spleenface and Sick Robot both drafted before you and both grabbed Thrasios Vial Oracle, and then what did Thrasios Vial Oracles with Sick grabbed, and then the other similar Thrasios Vial deck is what Spleen grabbed in the first round.
And me and LJ, literally, I was telling him from the time we entered this tournament, I was like, there's no way I'm getting this deck.
Yeah.
It's too good. And he was like, nah, it'll get to 23. I'm like, Lewis, I picked 23rd.
Yeah.
Right? It's not making it that far.
I mean,
it's like,
Rograk Silas fell down to pick 19. So, like, there was a chance.
There was a chance. But it was just a very slim chance. But, I just...
Go on.
I was just saying, I really, fell in love with that deck. And that's why I feel like I missed out on it. But getting something close to it, pretty much fills that void for me.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm actually I wanted decks with sweepers, so
yeah,
I think I probably would have picked Opus Thief over the breach,
like Freeze Thief or something.
Breaches. Yeah, because I want deck I really want decks that can just have area of effect spell.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel
yeah,
that. You dirty, filthy EverQuest player calling them area of effect spells.
I really wanted Ukima Kezer Food Chain.
I know you did, dude.
Really?
I got yoinked.
Yep. Yoinked first round.
You did?
Oh man, if you I got most of the decks I wanted. I was like,
that was LJ's other NSL deck.
Yeah. I was like,
oh yeah, it was.
Yeah, let me get the Gila. Edric is the one taking Edric. Belby, because no one's taking Belby, and a Sultai pile. Hopefully, Ukiba, Kezer Food Chain, and that went quick.
Yeah, I mean, I think both of the significant, all of the significant food chain decks went really early because they went by round 2, all the food chain decks were gone because I think what is it? Corvald Treasure Storm got taken by Cicada as his first pick.
Yeah.
In the first round. And I think Braden thought it would wheel into round 2, and so Braden ended up having to draft Corvald Food Chain. And he hates food chain. So I hope that works out well.
Any decks?
And then Sliver went early too.
Yeah, Sliver went hella early, and that was not even. I did not predict that. I thought all the Grixis decks were gonna be gone immediately.
Yeah.
I mean, for the most part, they were. I think one Jaleva deck made it to the 3rd round.
I don't want that. That hurt me deeply inside.
Oh, was that one of yours? That was one.
That's
of
my
list?
Jaleva deck.
That was
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, that's my Jaleva deck. I made it deep into the draft. I was like, oh, okay, all right, well, whatever, I guess. Hurts a little, but.
I mean, it is called Medium Bean.
It is called Medium Bean, indeed.
It's got the meme name.
I
so.
I have received comments and messages from Braden regarding that, and there's a comment on like a Mind Sculptors video. Braden fully embraces the meme name, and that is the biggest blessing I could ask for.
Oh man.
So good.
But like when Notice Stacks went early, like first round early, I was surprised about that. Urza went pretty early. Like I didn't.
Yeah. Well, I know I have a little inside baseball on Urza going so early. Is that Nick, the predatory pickle, is a serious like Jeskai slower deck control-y type player. So
Urza plays right into
Urza was right on his big board, right? Like he wanted Elsha first, which he got.
Yeah.
As pick number 1 of the entire draft, right?
Yeah.
Or number two. Number two. Yeah, it was Nagila, then Elsha. And then Urza was high up there, along with like Kaikar and other stuff. Okay. But like for him, I think he drafted super well.
Yeah. Yeah, he did. Then like I know people were talking about like Zur was taken in the 3rd round.
Yeah, Zur went late.
Yeah,
Zur went late.
Zur went late, and they're like, man, Zur, that's an insult to Zur. And I'm like, look, guys, Zur is not good.
But it's
Zur is not good.
I mean,
like
Zur is a good deck still. Like I think so. I'll come to this again, right?
Yeah.
That I think the gaps in between decks are not as significant as some people perceive them to be, and especially with like Zur being like Esper versus Grixis, right? Like it's maybe slightly slower, but I think Zur is still like, despite being an older deck, still like a monster.
I just have to disagree with that. I think like it's just how Zur plays, right? Because like you need to cast your commander, it needs to swing, you need to get.
You don't need to though. That's the thing.
So I mean, yeah, okay, cool. You're in Dimir,
right.
So yeah, you can just Thassa's Oracle, the
you could just
consultation out the game, but like
I don't know if you know this, but you can hardcast Necropotence. Like that's all. That's all that Zur does is get Necropotence, right? But like you can hardcast Necropotence, and you can play all the Turbo Adnaz Purity, the best stuff. In Esper,
sure,
right?
But then, I don't know. I just think you're missing a lot, like not having red. Like, what's white really doing to help you with your Turbo Adnaz plan? Yeah, cool.
Well, I don't know if you've ever heard of two spells. One is called Silence.
Okay, so besides protection,
and a second one is called Grand Abolisher. I don't know if you've heard of that one, but they tend to be rated pretty well in Turbo Naz decks.
Yes. So besides two of the 10 white cards that are that are played in CDH, like.
What about
Swords to Plowshares?
Are there even 10? Look,
I think there are 10. I think we're finally at 10. Swords to Plowshares, Smothering Tithe, Silence, Grand Abolisher, Sarah Ascendant, Dovin's Veto, Savine's Reclamation.
Is Dovin's Veto really white though?
It is. Like, it's that classic white card, right?
Blue white.
The action cannot be countered. What other cards are played in that are good? Children of Corliss.
What?
We're digging deep.
You're going deep into think tank.
Nah, Children of Corliss isn't like Bad Farm.
Drannith Magistrate.
Drannith Magistrate. Another good one. Heliod, Suncrown.
Oh, we're going commanders now? Then there's more than 10 white cards.
I mean, Teshar.
Oh, my lord.
Oh, come on.
I'm sorry.
Teshar's fine, but still.
SRAM. Okay, I've dug too deep.
So I'll lie. I did some gold fishing with Teshar just in case for some reason I felt the need to take it. Last pick. It can get there.
Yeah, it can go.
It can do it.
It can for sure go.
It has some, Jewel Lotus really helped that deck. Jewel Lotus helped a lot of decks, but mainly that deck. Oh, man.
Oh, Timna's a white card.
Yes.
That's a pretty popular one.
Is it really, though?
I mean, it's as white as Vile Smasher is red, right?
Right.
Yo, chill.
I'm just saying. And yeah, maybe I went for the throat on that example a little bit, but like, I'm right.
Oh man.
I think Scott made his point.
Yeah, you made your point.
Yeah.
You got that
Yeah.
one.
Alright,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So there's at least 15 white cards played in CEDH. Cool. All right, 20 red cards, and then everything else is blue, green, and black. All right, we got it. Let's see, where are we at? Let's see. How about? Yeah, we did talk about the game. Huh?
We are bouncing around a lot, and
Yeah.
I don't mean to do this, but did you see Spleenface's article about how bad White did in the draft?
Oh yeah, it was.
It was. It wasn't like completely shocking to me, but it was crazy how people seem to devalue like White as a sport.
I mean, let's be honest. The mono white guy, Charles, did not pick a mono white deck till his last pick, and he hem and hawed about it.
No, he didn't. He said, Heliod, I yield my time, was the thing that Charles said. Because he knew that Heliod would wield a pick 4.
I thought he chose Kenrith, right? Like Kenrith first?
For his first pick was 5C Lavinia, which is a Kenrith.
Yeah, right. But
which is a monster
before he
of
said
a deck.
Oh yeah.
He paused.
But is Kenrith really white though?
Kenrith is technically white, right?
Yes.
Like, I mean, it is for the purposes of actual color identity, Kenrith is mono white. For the purposes of commander color identity, Kenrith is 5 colors.
He's 5 color.
But like for the purposes of actual color identity, Kenrith is mono white.
They threw White a bone by making Kenrith white. It could have been.
Bro, they had to.
Like, oh man.
This is that white support we've been talking.
Yeah.
Watsy's been talking about.
5 color general white support. Yeah.
Oh man.
Y'all are crazy.
As if white.
Don't
needed
shoot
it.
the
No, yeah. So like, a lot of people chose their pet decks, which I think we all like figured people were gonna do that. Like,
Yeah.
choose their pet
Yeah.
decks. Especially like if you had a notable pet deck that like wasn't like, oh, my pet deck is Tim the Thrasios. Yeah, no, that's not. You're not getting that then. But
Yeah, Mr. Edric as his second pick over here,
Hey.
talking about pet decks.
I mean, I'm the only one that plays that deck. Like,
Nah, there was a couple of people that wanted Edric.
I don't believe him. There's no way.
There was.
Shit.
There definitely was. There definitely was.
There was few
That
people that
was not
wanted Edric. It wasn't like
Mm-hmm.
I was not going to wheel pass round 2. No one took it in round 1, but I don't think it was going to make it into round 3.
It wasn't because I wasn't taking. I would have hate drafted Edric just because of that.
Wow.
I should have taken it so I could have gotten the Gila.
You weren't getting the Gila. Let me tell you, I was not making that trade. I would have just bit the bullet. I was like, well,
LJ, I have met you, and you probably would have made that trade.
I would have traded Belby and like
I'd have just
Cassiger.
waited till you got. Yo, I would have just waited till you got a little liquor in you and said, "Hey, let's make this
Hey, you
swap,
want
son."
to trade? You want to trade?
Yeah, I don't know how to play that game, my man.
You would have been real disappointed. I'd be like, Timmy, Edric's bad. You have fun with it.
You get a little note
You
in
say
the
that
mail
now.
that says, free liquor in this storage container. And then it's just Timmy in there with jumper cables. You feel a dart. You feel a dart in your neck. You fall asleep. Timmy's like, trade me Najila.
Nope. Wouldn't do it. Wouldn't do it.
You say that now.
I'll trade you
Wait till you get some of
Tassiger.
that.
You can have it. You can have that.
Wait till you get some of that yak in you, man.
Even I'm not that crazy. I'm like, man, I could jewel Lotus into a Najila. This feels great.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh,
You ever gambled for that Jewel Lotus to cast your turn 1 Najila? Oh, good. It's a good feel.
oh,
There we go. Yeah, man.
they were good.
But
That's funny.
I think we'll just end it off there,
They were
guys.
good, man.
we want to thank the MLC team, specifically Callahan, because I hear he's the one that's putting all this together.
Yeah,
Appreciate
it's wild.
all
Apparently, like doing all this by himself, like is
by himself. That's a lot. So we want to take the time to personally thank him for putting all the hours into this, because it's not easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did a
People are
great job.
jerks. Yeah, definitely did. Scoots, Tim, I'd like for you to go ahead and give us another quick shameless plug for both your channels.
Oh,
Sure. Scoots,
all right, first. Sure. I'm Scoots. Scoots with 8 O's between the C and the T on Twitter. If you want to see garbage about CEDH there, I'm a member of the Mind Sculptors. I do written content for them. And also, I have a new project coming up with the Cicada, formerly of Split Second, called Who Brewed This? And the first episode is in the works to be released anytime now, as soon as I finish editing it. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, you gotta edit it? You have to edit it.
Yeah, man. Gotta edit it.
Hi, I'm TimmyT1000. I run the CH Budget Brews YouTube channel and Discord, where we make budget CH decks to help people get in the format until they're comfortable with proxying. Yes, that is the secret. It is only until they get to the point where they're like, man, I can't afford these cards. I think I'm gonna proxy now.
Heck yeah.
That sounds good. That's something I wish I would have did.
Yeah, they're fun. Right.
Yep.
Heck yeah.
So
appreciate you both for joining us today for this quick little podcast we had.
You're doing God's work.
Thanks for
Tim,
having
me. And for all you guys out there listening, paying attention, you can catch us again.
Love budget.
Our next episode.
Love playing them.
And we'll be covering week 2 and all the changes that's happened since we posted this episode. And we'd like to thank you for joining the Reflecting Pool.
Thank you so much for coming out and watching our YouTube video. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button, the like, and the bell so you can stay notified whenever we release our new YouTube content. Go ahead and hit the follow and sub on our Twitch as well, which is twitch.tv/The Reflecting Pool. Many thanks to our patrons, and our info is going to be in the description below if you want to click on all of our links to go ahead and stay connected with us, including our Discord. Many thanks to our sponsors. They'll be coming as follows. And appreciate you guys coming and taking a dip in the Reflecting Pool. As always, bye.